All right, so what are some of the examples of DRM policies that are relevant to encoding and packaging? And talk a little bit about HDMI in there too.
Right. Oh, okay, sure. No, that's a good question. So, for example, one of the examples of DRM policies is related to the content encryption keys. Using DRM policies, we can configure different content keys to be used for different resolutions and audio tracks, for example. This kind of enables the streaming service providers to control and enforce which content keys are accessible on what kind of devices based on their subscription package. So that's kind of one use case. The other example of DRM policy is really related to output control settings. Like, for example, as you mentioned in the terms of HDMI, using DRM policy, we can kind of enforce that the content is only allowed on the HDMI link that is really protected by the certain version of HTTP protection. So as you know, for example, today there are several devices that can strip out older HTTP versions, and using DRM policies with output control protection, service provider can kind of block playback of this content on devices that do not support the recent version of the HTTP. But this is kind of a double-sword edge. They have to be careful that when they set the output control to the highest or higher versions of HTTP, they kind of could limit the type of devices that are actually able to play back that content, because some of the really older devices, or especially TVs, do not support the latest version of HTTP. So it's really a trade-off here to be considered.
I was just going to say, so Ali, one of the things, I guess, is also if you limit your output policies, potentially limit what the user can do. Like, they may legitimately want to output it specifically in a certain way. On HDMI, I mean, a lot of people were connecting laptops up to big screens and all this kind of stuff for years. And obviously in limiting it, as you say, it limits compatibility with certain devices, but also it potentially limits what your user can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more point in there as well, too. We're seeing a lot of our customers and partners struggle with, what is that legacy device footprint they need to support, and what are those security trade-offs they need to make. The overall business sort of product direction is as many devices, as many users as possible, but there needs to be more education and better resources about what a security risk that really is. I'm not going to name and shame any devices, but I think we all know some of the legacy TVs that are especially problematic. But I really think that that's a good chance for the community to really educate what that trade-off can mean, especially in terms of revenue and dollars.